Hello, students. Many students have asked me a question as to what is the evolution of B2B marketing in India. First of all, I would like to clarify that when we talk of B2B today, people generally think that B2B is about what is happening on the e commerce platforms which deal from business to business, like Trade India or like Udan or like Alibaba. B2B has existed much before the e commerce platform came into existence. From the time when business started, B2B business also started almost immediately. For example, if a company wants to reach a customer, if a company which is making, let us say, chocolates, it cannot reach the customers directly. It reaches customers from the factory, the goods move to the stockist. From the stockist, it could go to wholesaler, from wholesaler to retailer, and from retailer, from the point of sale or the retailer, it reaches the customer. So essentially, the companies are dealing while they are dealing with the businesses. So that also is a kind of a B2B business where companies selling from distributors to distributors, from distributors to retailers. It is from retailer to the customer that B2C is happening. Of course, the consumer companies are different in a way that they try to create a pull factor for their products or for their brands, which is called the pull factor. So, thereby creating the demand. But B2B business is any business that does not happen between business and the eventual consumers. Right from the days of industrial products, if you are selling cotton, if you are a farmer, you are selling cotton to a factory which is using that cotton to produce a shirt or a trouser, you are into B2B business. Let's think of something which is of more value in terms of the commercial value of the product. Let's think of a company like Caterpillar. So Caterpillar would sell the products directly. It would approach the large construction companies because Caterpillar is into excavators, dumpers, dozers, and many other construction equipment. So it will approach directly the customers or the large construction companies. When e-commerce was not there, when there was not even email, then the Caterpillar would reach its customers by sending them letters or by visiting them personally or by participating in trade fairs to tell them about their latest machinery. So B2B business has existed since time immemorial. In India, I would like to divide the B2B business into three distinct parts. One is B2B business before the 1990 when liberalization started, and between 1990 to the advent of e-commerce. So in this part, I will cover from pre 1990, 1990, 91 business. During pre-liberalization area, the number of suppliers in India were not very much. So the competition in terms of doing B2B business was not so much there, because in India, the manufacturing facility was licensed, and to expand your manufacturing facility, also you needed a license. So, thereby, there existed B2B market which was small because it was limited by the number of sellers and also it was limited by the number of buyers. Let us take the example of a company which is supplying, let us say, a particular uh, raw material for a petrochemical industry. Such companies were far and few, and petrochemical companies were also far and few. So B2B business was pretty small, pretty small. Government also used to be one of the main buyers or public sector undertakings or large private sector enterprises. They were the main buyers in the B2B segment, and there were lesser number of people who were the suppliers. Post 1991, as the license Raj faded away, many new companies came, many companies from outside India came, and they brought with them best practices. Also, the buyers, because now buyers were spoiled for a choice, they started also streamlining their buying operations. Limited tenders gave way to open tenders. Okay, and lot of best practices happening in the sense of there would be a technical qualification process, and then there will be a financial qualification process. Even the tendering became much better. If you recall, in the case of let us take the case of telecom industry. When telecom industry, the mobile telephony started to uh, take root in India, all the telephone equipments or the original equipments, they came from west, from the European countries or American countries. So we had vendors like Motorola, Alcatel Lucent, Nokia, Ericsson, Siemens. They were the ones who were supplying the telecom equipments, and there was a bidding process. And however, when the Chinese came in, like ZTE and Huawei, they started a complete disruptive sense in B2B business. They started to give you one BTS or one equipment, and then they said the existing BTS or the equipment of the other company will be replaced free of cost. So one plus one free. It also started to give an option of taking all this equipment on lease or on a long term service agreement. So, post 1991, B2B business became much more competitive, it became much more complicated, but it became very much organized. A kind of a structure started to fall in place post 1991. Every company, even FMCG companies, have always been practicing B2B business, whether there has been a e-commerce platform or not. I remember my days in Nestle. Nestle had started in 1984-85. There was a direct channel in which the Horeca segment, which is hotels, restaurants, and cafeterias, they were approached directly by the Nestle field officers. Nestle during those days was called Food Specialities Limited. Similarly, my own experience in Indian Oil Corporation, when I worked, of course, we used to sell petroleum products to retail outlet. So we never sold to the motoring public directly. We sold to retailers or the retail outlet dealers who were for us B2B, and then they would do B2C business in the sense they would sell it to the motoring public or the trucker or the two-wheeler owner. But we also used to sell petroleum products in bulk to, let us say, JKSRTC, which is Jammu and Kashmir State Transport Corporation, or I used to sell it to Indian Army or Indian Railways. With the competition, the suppliers started to offer better and better benefits to the buyers. For example, when I was in Indian Oil Corporation and my customer was Indian Railways, so we used to store petroleum products. We used to build a tankage inside the railway facility. We would store petroleum products there. And did railway pay us upfront? No. We used to bill railways only for the amount they had used during a particular month. So it was credit, and we used to keep the stocks in their facility for them, and we would bill them only for the consumption. Similarly, for many power producing companies in Pampore, in Kashmir, we will hold stocks for them, and we will transfer stocks to them periodically, and we will charge them only for the amount that was transferred to them. So we were maintaining a facility, our own stocks at their premises. So B2B business started to become more competitive post 1991. It started to become more organized. Of course, now with the advent of e-commerce, as you know, Flipkart and Amazon, these are not B2B companies, these are B2C companies. One of the biggest B2B companies is Udaan, which became a unicorn. And Udaan offers to retail outlets even in tier 2, tier 3 cities. So retail outlets or the small shopkeepers, they can order, instead of going to a wholesaler or going to the market themselves, they can order everything online, from groceries to vegetables and to other items of daily need. They can procure everything along with the credit facility through Udaan, but that requires a separate lecture. So this, in short, is the evolution of B2B business in India.